Hi ladies, welcome back to my channel. It's so good to have you back. Today, we get to talk about forgiveness. Now, after a toxic relationship during the breakup, you will eventually start to feel anger and resentment towards a person. And you might even feel unforgiveness towards yourself. When you get to that part of grieving, there's a lot of things in this video that you can implement that can help you. Holding on to unforgiveness can cause more harm than good. It can cause you to act out of character and do things that you'll regret. It causes anger and turmoil within our minds, which can increase the risk of various health problems. It has an effect on our mental and physical health, along with our immune system and our overall well-being. Holding on to grudges and unforgiveness have been linked to depression, anxiety, and PTSD. Chronic anger and stress from unforgiveness causes the body to go into a fight or flight response. It has an effect on our mental and physical health, along with our immune system and our overall well-being. Holding on to grudges and unresolved anger can activate the body's fight or flight response, which can lead to changes in your blood pressure, your heart rate, and your immune function. It could lead to elevated levels of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, which may weaken your immune system. People who practice forgiveness report that they have better mental and physical health, while those who do not forgive tend to experience more health problems. When I was researching this, a lot of things said that unforgiveness is not necessarily the cause of diseases or the cause of health problems. It can just affect them. So it makes sense. So when you think about it, when you are stressed out, you are holding on to bitterness, you have anger, right? It triggers your body's fight or flight response, right? Which can elevate your stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which can in turn weaken your immune system. So with a weakened immune system, that means that your body isn't able to fight off different things that it normally would if the immune system was in a better state. So it's just something to think about, that yes, like, you don't think your thoughts or your feelings affect your body, but everything is connected. And it's good to be aware of that. Forgiveness is part of the healing process. It doesn't mean that you have to have a relationship with that person. It just means that you get to let it go. It doesn't mean that you are a sucker. It doesn't mean that you allow them to get away with what they did or that their behavior was excusable. It means that you will no longer hold on to anger or resentment towards them, and that it will no longer have a hold on you. You get to have peace. Jesus told Peter that he would have to forgive 70 times 70. That means that we might have to forgive somebody again and again until we have completely let it go. What does that look like? So for example, let's say one night you are thinking about some things that a person did or something that a person did, and you forgive them in that moment. Then the next morning you wake up and something pops in your head about something else that they did that you had forgotten about, and it reignites the anger and resentment and the bitterness that you had towards them. Then you get to forgive them again for that. Forgiveness is a process. It might take one time or many, but either way, it is dependent on your state of mind, what's going on around you, your perspective, your mental and physical health, on you, on what the person did. There's so many different factors, right? That's why it's sometimes easier to forgive someone else, right? Because you're like, oh, okay. But then if somebody else did the same thing, it's harder for you to forgive that person because there's other things attached to that. So that just means that it's just going to take a little bit more time, a little bit more effort to actually forgive them. Something that you can do is ask God for help. If you're having a hard time forgiving somebody, ask God for help. Ask him to soften your heart. Ask him to help you. Be like, Lord, please help me to forgive this person. And he will help you. I mean, he is a great God. He wants you to forgive them, right? And he will show you things. He will help you through it. He will guide you through it. As long as you are open to receiving that guidance from him, he will help you get through that. He will help you heal, and he will help you forgive those people. There's something that happened to me after my toxic relationship. And a few months after we had broken up, there was a girl that I befriended, and we were hanging out, and me and her ended up sharing a lot of stuff. She told me about her past relationship, and I shared with her about my ex. I mean, I even cried in her arms about him one morning, telling her how I thought we were going to have a family, and I thought he was the one, and all that stuff, right? So I opened up my heart to her. I became really vulnerable. She knew what I had been through with him. She knew certain details, like she knew. And then fast forward to, I think it was maybe like 3 months after that, we had stopped hanging out because I had heard something soon after, I had opened up to her that my ex was messaging her. So I like removed myself, because even though I didn't have any proof anything was going on and it was all hearsay, I just had a feeling like, something's up. Then a couple of months after that, I find out that they're dating. And how I found out was they were keeping it a secret. They were already dating, I think, for like a couple of months, but they ended up coming out at a mutual friend's wedding. I wasn't there, thank God. God definitely protected me from that. When I found out, I was completely distraught. And for about 10 months, I had so much bitterness in my heart for her. I wouldn't say I hated her, but like I really didn't like her. I despised her. Um, whenever I would see them out, I would go and only say hi to him and not to her, because I knew it would piss her off. Like I was acting in ways that I normally wouldn't act. And when I found out, I was leaving, I was actually in Greece, and I was leaving coming home, and that I was traveling for 24 hours. And the whole time I'm like, God, why? Why her? Why out of anybody? Like, why her? And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I was so distraught. Like, I just kept crying to God. And this is before I gave my life to Christ, before I was saved, right? And I always believed in God. And I was like, God, why out of all people, why her? Why couldn't he have started dating a random girl that I didn't know? It would have been easier for me to get over it, because I would be like, oh, I don't know this girl. It was bound to happen. Like it was bound to happen that he was going to start dating somebody, right? But I'm like, why did it have to be somebody that I was, even though it was a short period of time that I was hanging out with, I was building like somewhat of a friendship, right? I was getting to know her, and I shared with her like a lot of what had happened in our relationship. Why did it have to be her? Like I literally cried in her arms about him. Like why? So then about like 10 months go by, and at that time, it was already about like 3 months since I gave my life to Christ. I knew that there was no way that he would have changed that quickly, right? There's no way that somebody can heal that quickly. There's no some like my relationship with him was very mentally and emotionally abusive, and then it got physical at the end. He was very manipulative with me. He gaslighted me. He love bombed me. All the whole 9 yards. Like it was one of the hardest relationships I've ever had, and one of the hardest breakups I've ever had gone through. And I knew that there was no way he could have changed in such a short amount of time when they started dating. Like I'm sure in the beginning it was like amazing, because she did say that to a friend of mine. And they have, like in the beginning they were bragging about how in love they were, even though they've only been dating for a couple months, but whatever, besides the point. So I was thinking about all that, and then I started to realize, like, man, she is probably going through the same things that I went through. I mean, she has to be. Like, there's no way that this man could change in such a short amount of time. And, later on I found out that she was. And if anything, like, she was getting worse, like, way worse than I was. Like, he was actually doing things and like saying things to her in public, which was, it's horrendous. But anyways, besides the point. So I was thinking about that, and I in the kitchen, like I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna pray for her. And I started praying to God. I was like, just asking God to help her, to bring, to heal her, whatever. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I know I started praying for this girl. And when I tell you, I felt this ball of emotion, like it was as if it was like coming through my chest. And I just began to sob uncontrollably. It was a release. And I've never felt anything like that before, like, like that, especially like praying for somebody, especially somebody that I had bitterness towards. Like I felt betrayed by her. Like it was like the utmost betrayal. Like she broke girl code, you know? And After I was done, I felt so much peace. I felt like this huge load was lifted off my shoulders. And as time went on, I realized that I was like, wow, like I forgave her in that moment. And yeah, like it's crazy. Like I know praying for somebody, especially someone that does you dirty, is like, it may seem counterintuitive, but it's what God wants. It's what God wants us to do, right? You know, there are moments that where like thoughts would pop up, but you know what? When those thoughts would pop up, the emotion, that bitterness, that resentment, that anger wasn't tied to them anymore. And I was able to like let that thought happen and move on to the next, which that's what happens when you forgive somebody. You truly let it go and you move on. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean like something's going to pop up and a memory is going to happen and whatnot, but I, not having that anger, that resentment tied to it anymore, it frees you from that. And that's what forgiveness offers you, is freedom. It offers you peace. I want to say maybe like a month or 2 months after that, a, the same thing happened again. I was stretching on the floor thinking about an old friend that I hadn't forgiven. I had a lot of resentment towards her, a lot of resentment. And the same thing, it was a release. I don't remember if I started praying for her, but I just started thinking about her and I was like, I was having a moment with God. And next thing I know, it just, same thing. It was like a ball of emotion. It felt like it was coming through my chest and then it caused me to like uncontrollably sob. I'm not saying that that's going to be your experience. You know, everybody's different when they forgive, but it truly is a release. It truly is. And it's so amazing. Something else that really helps me to forgive is to think about God and how he offers us grace and forgiveness all the time. So we should be able to offer that to others as well. Jesus died on the cross for us so we can forgive and we can let go of things. Again, this doesn't mean that you allow them back into your life. What it means is that you will no longer let what they did have control over your thoughts and your emotions. And the best part is, you don't have to tell them. This is between you and God. When you forgive someone, you are not obligated to tell them, especially if you're trying to keep a no contact rule. Forgiveness is a form of release. It's releasing control of the situation and leaving it in the past. Forgiveness is freedom. Freedom from that pain, freedom from that bitterness, freedom from that anger. It's complete freedom. When you forgive, you heal, and when you let go, you grow. Now, when it comes to forgiving yourself, for me, I came to the realization that I didn't know then what I know now. I had put myself in a loop of toxic relationships. Like, I had no idea I was doing this. I was completely unaware of my trauma and how it was tied to the partners that I had had. There is nothing good that comes out of being hard and not forgiving ourselves. You get to offer yourself grace. Imagine if your best friend just got out of a toxic relationship and she's beating herself up, being hard on herself, being overcritical, and not forgiving herself. What would you tell her? You would probably try to lift her up. You would tell her, like, offer yourself grace, be kinder to yourself, all these different things, right? So take that and say that to yourself. You have been through enough, and the last person you need to be hard on yourself is you. Just know that you were most likely manipulated and your love and kindness were taken advantage of. I know that we all play a part in everything that happens in our lives, but in abusive relationships, there are tactics that are used to get you hooked. So just remember that. Sometimes we want love so badly. We want that person. We want that dream of a relationship, and we tend to ignore red flags. We tend to not take into account certain things that we should when we first meet somebody. Shout out to my preacher, because today he said a quote that I want to share with you. Let your past be your teacher, not your prophet. So what does that mean? Learn from your past. Don't let it define you. Don't let it make you feel bad or bring you down or make you lose hope, right? Or make you be unforgiving on yourself. It's your past for a reason. Let your past be your teacher so you don't make the same choices again. You learn what red flags to look out for. You start to raise your standards and you start to build back your confidence. This is not the end of your story. What happened was a lesson, and you have the power to never go back to something like that again. The most important thing you can do is be present in this moment, because all we have is this moment. The past already happened and the future is unknown. So why are we worrying about either or? Why are we stressing about either or? When right now, this is all we have. When we focus too much on the past and we focus too much on the future, we don't get to enjoy what's in front of us in this moment. I hope you got something from this video, and just remember, offer yourself grace. Do not be hard on yourself. Use the past as a lesson, as a teacher. Moving forward, you have the power not to make those choices anymore. How great is that? You hold the power. And when you're ready, I would love for you to check out my website, sparkleandbloomcoaching.com. Just know that you are so worthy. You are so loved. God adores you, and He would never, ever, ever want you to be in a toxic, abusive situation. I hope this video can help you. I hope that you forgive yourself, that you're able to forgive others, and you're able to move on and let go. You are so dearly loved. You are so worthy, and you deserve to have peace.